Alright guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. So it's still a little bit until Dokkan Fest Super 17 comes out. It does appear as though the 8th anniversary is concluded. I do think that the 8th anniversary was very good. It has a very negative rap, which I really think is not fair. Now this is not a specific problem for the 8th anniversary though. The worldwide download celebration, the Cooler Movie celebration, was very heavily criticized at the time, like to actually like a comical degree. Like I just feel like a lot of the community way too fast, they jumped the gun about everything. I feel like especially with the format that Dokkan does with these celebrations, where typically we have the 3 major parts, and in the 7th anniversary we had the EX part, right? I mean, look at this, right? Like, you're talking about 129, and then the EX part wasn't done until the 8th of March. Like, dude, you can't, sit there on February 5th or something like that during the 7th anniversary and say, this celebration sucks. It's like, there's still over a month left, right? Like, you have to have patience, I think, when properly evaluating these major celebrations. Now, I think people could have, valid complaints. This actually isn't correct during the 8th anniversary, but maybe more so during like the 7th anniversary and stuff like that. Valid complaints of, all right, we did everything and now we got to wait a while. There's not really too much to do, right? We got to wait like a full week for stuff, right? The 8th anniversary, and I believe the worldwide download celebration at times, the content was spread out a little bit more evenly in a correct way. Dokkan, I think we're going to hit a bit of a lull period now on JP because they just don't have the resources to continue this like level of content all year round. Like, unfortunately they don't, right? Since LR Beast Gohan and Orange Piccolo came out, we have had like stuff coming out like every 4 days on JP. And I think now we're going to get into a very quiet Super 17 celebration. And then, the next couple of months for JP might not be the craziest besides Golden Week or Saiyan Day, right? It's just how it's going to go. It's fine, right? There's peaks and valleys with these games. I do think it's healthy. I think it's good that, there's not really much going on in Dokkan, so you can go play Destiny. You could go play, Spider-Man, God of War. Like, you could do other things besides just Dokkan only. I that's healthy, right? And that way, okay, like Super 17's out, he's ass, I don't really care about him, whatever. And then 2 weeks later, oh my god, Goku is sick. I wasn't really playing the last 2 weeks, and you're kind of a little refreshed. I think that's a good thing. So, what I want to do with this video is, I want to just sort of, I guess, compare these 3. These are the last 3 major celebrations. I think I would argue that these are the 3 best celebrations in Dokkan history. Again, the 8th anniversary is so unfairly heavily criticized. The way people talk about it, it's just like not even like kind of close to being correct. Now, if you're going to say either of these celebrations are better, I don't think that's wrong either. I mean, there's points where like the 7th anniversary, you get to like the 3rd part right here, and then they dropped 6 stages in one night. Bojack, Janemba, and Broly, and then Super 17, the Shadow Dragons, and then Omega. That is probably the single best content night in Dokkan history, I think. The day that they dropped these 6 Red Zone stages. All 6 stages are very different fights. Some of the bosses have interesting gimmicks. They're very challenging. It's just incredibly good content, right? Now, the 7th anniversary, it does become a bit difficult to compare to, these other celebrations right here, because the 7th anniversary very clearly was a soft reset of the game. It's so obvious. I mean, you just look at how things have gone. They introduced a buff to leader skills, and then they kind of, again, did kind of a soft reset where characters before the 7th anniversary, besides some key exceptions like maybe Physical Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Tech Ultimate Gohan, AGL Kid Gohan, like most pre-7th anniversary characters didn't really hold up well in like a lot of these tough Red Zone stages. Like, the content was very tough. But that's not something that's sustainable for Dokkan to constantly do. So they kind of hit the reset button for the 7th anniversary, and it's like, oh my god, dude, like, on release, Red Zone Broly, like, I didn't no-item Red Zone Broly and Omega for like a week. Like, it was like a week later I no-item them for the first time. Like, that's how little options we had and how tough things were. But It's not like that now because Dokkan, has kept generally the same like level of power, and I think a lot of the design choices for many characters have been very good for Dokkan, right? Besides like LR Ultimate Gohan, who I think has a pretty poor design. There's other characters with flaws, but most of these major characters are pretty well done. I think the AGL Super Saiyan Goku and Vegeta have certainly got design flaw issues, I think. I do think you could point out the Int LR Kid Gohan, the Carnival LR from the 8th anniversary, which I joked about it on my showcase I put out earlier today. But me and Nano, we have a very scientific. Oh, they didn't even put the Carnival banner in here. They didn't properly fill out this. Okay, so I might need to pull it up on Dokkan Info then. Yeah, okay. But by the way, one other thing we're gonna get to. I tweeted out like, okay, like I was just thinking about it, right? I tweeted out just like, here's the units released on the 7th anniversary and the 8th anniversary, and a lot of people were like, oh my god, World Tournament units. Yeah, guys, sorry. World Tournament, it's here in the Celebration info. They released during the celebration. These World Tournament characters are part of the JP 8th anniversary. A lot of people were saying, well, it might not even be like that for Global. Sorry, guys, but who cares? We're talking about the JP 8th anniversary right here. I'm not going to wait to do this video until August 15th, right? Like, we're talking about this now. This 46 World Tournament, these characters are part of the 8th anniversary. If you disagree with that, you're wrong. These are 8th anniversary characters. Like, you just gotta accept it. And, I mean, this Piccolo is literally designed to work with Int Kid Gohan, right? Like, that's another huge thing to keep in mind. But that Int Kid Gohan, based off of my, okay, so I have this, we have this pulled up. I got, these are all the units released during these 3 major celebrations. These are the Worldwide Download Celebration units. These are the 7th anniversary units. This Kid Gohan right here. Based off of my, again, scientific data, I think that this Int Kid Gohan is probably the worst, or like the lowest hype release they've almost ever done. I think this Kid Gohan, like, he's competing with like Android 13 and like future tech Android 17 and 18, like that low level of hype. The Carnival Goku, he's like a normal unit, he's very fine. And of course, I thought that the main anniversary characters were fantastic. I mean, this character, it's like, if you're going to compare this directly to the 7th anniversary, 7th anniversary had Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, rather than base form Kid Goku, who has like no hype whatsoever. That's Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta in his 4th anniversary headlining appearance, right? But that's certainly something you can point out. I guess let's just talk about these characters. We could talk about the celebrations. I think right about now is where I could put this in, right? Like, someone just tweeted me about this, and I was like, okay. I think I probably would put the Cooler Movie Worldwide Download Celebration as one. Let's go through this. Now, this celebration was very heavily criticized. I think a lot of people didn't like to change the carnival format, but this celebration, I mean, you have to admit that there was never a part 2 for one of these that has had more hype. The hype going into part 2, when they released the teaser for like Metal Cooler and like, Super Saiyan Goku and Vegeta, we have not seen that level of hype. Them splitting the Dokkan Fest into each part is such a W. The 8th anniversary, I think very foolishly and stupidly, they kept the carnival banners, but it's dual Dokkan Fest in part 1 and then dual carnival banners in part 2. I just think that's not as good. The point of the carnival format, I think, should be to emulate what this celebration did. A carnival LR and a dual Dokkan Fest, and then a carnival LR and a dual Dokkan Fest in part 2. You are preserving the momentum of the celebration, and thus it's a better celebration, for sure, right? I really, really stand by that. Now, I guess, again, let's just quickly take a look at the characters here. So, there's the free-to-play unit. We have the main anniversary LRs. I mean, if you want to these two, like, I don't know if hype level is something we could really factor in so much to these celebrations, because it's like, that's very subjective, right? Like, you could be the biggest Cooler fan in the world. So guess what? Like, to you, this is going to be the hypest part 1, right? So it's like, hype is difficult to say. I feel like if we look at like design, how good the characters' designs are, I think all the part 1 LRs are good. In terms of design, I would probably say this unit is the worst in terms of design, because they created this character and it's way too easy for them to just get slotted out and obliterated like with ease. I think that this character, they just have a tendency to get caught and get destroyed, right? Whereas the other 7th anniversary LRs, not really so much. I mean, certainly like or the other main LRs, the 7th anniversary LRs could on release, but it's difficult, man, because this was a different time. You know, these were basically like all the best units in the game, because all the units in the game, you know, just sucked overnight, right? It's kind of like the way it worked. It's like you look at these 4 right now, and they're pretty unimpressive. They're not really that great. But when they came out, they were like top 10 units in the game because there weren't that many good characters, right? So, you know, I think it's important if we look at like these characters who came out during the 7th anniversary and not say like, oh, this unit is a fraud, or like Omega, we have nowhere to use him, he's a fraud. Like, I feel like you need to try and examine how good they were during the celebration. And, you know, during like a lot of people were then able to no item, you know, like Red Zone Broly and Red Zone Omega when the EZA LR Super Saiyan 4s came out, because they were massive upgrades compared to a lot of the different characters that we had at the time, right? Now, if we look at the major EZAs here, I mean, they were definitely decent. God Vegeta was kind of like meh. God Goku, of course, I mean, he's, you know, crazy, but it's when you give a character huge damage reduction like that, and then almost all of these boss fights are against one of his 2 categories, which is movie bosses. It does allow him to be very, very effective. Now, I really do want to take negative points off of the 7th anniversary for this part 2 right here. You know, you could not like the choices of the 2 openings right here, but I'm sorry. I'm taking this part 2 over this part 2 without a doubt. I mean, we all agree these characters did not need LRs. We already, like, Kaioken Goku, I guess he didn't have, like, an LR, but, like, you know, if it was a Dokkan Fest LR, sure, these characters need a Dokkan Fest. There's no Saiyan Saga Goku Dokkan Fest. There's no Saiyan Saga Vegeta Dokkan Fest. How does that make sense? It's one of the most iconic fights in anime history. Like, these 2 needed to be a dual Dokkan Fest. This part 2, I just feel like didn't really hold up as well as I would like. The free-to-play characters suck here. I don't think that the 8th anniversary free-to-play characters, these 2 are not exactly tremendous. I think Babidi will have some value. Maybe an actual team can open up where he could be a little bit more effective. I think the character needed to be a little bit stronger defensively. I mean, we could certainly count these World Tournament units as free-to-play, and again, you can be mad about it all you want to, but these are 8th anniversary characters. Like, these characters released during the 8th anniversary, these are 8th anniversary characters. This Piccolo is the best free-to-play unit in the game, right? Like, this Gohan is a huge top-tier option, very capable of going into red zone fights and Cell Max and stuff like that. A huge, powerful option. So, it's like, I mean, if we talk about the World Tournament free-to-play characters, like, yeah, these are the best free-to-play characters we may have ever gotten. But it's like the actual anniversary free-to-play characters weren't really that crazy. The worldwide download celebration free-to-play characters, I feel like were pretty effective, right? Like, you know, I do like this cooler right here. A lot of these free-to-play metal coolers, you know, this one up here and these guys, like they're fairly competent, right? For sure. Is this the best roster of characters of all 3 celebrations? It probably is the 8th anniversary. Let's look at banner. Oh, so you know what this has? Yeah, let's look at the banner units. So we have Tech, Sin, and Broly. Broly's fodder. Tech Sin was really good on release, but he's just never had a chance to be used. Even still, you just don't have a chance to use him, right? And like, we just had a GT Bosses mission for the whatchamacallit, the Gogeta Blue Burst mode. But in that, like the best, you know, sort of like slider to use was physical characters and int characters. So it's like, all right, we're using GT bosses, but we didn't even get a chance to use this guy, right? So I don't know there. 8th anniversary, I mean, these guys just outright suck. Ice and Nova, Ice and Nova, they might be the worst banner unit ever released. I think you can make the case. It's tough. I feel like I don't really, you know, I was around for all these banners having released, but I feel like for the most part, banner units were pretty much always fodder for years. Then eventually, like, things changed. When did things change? It was like in 2021, some of these banner units started to be really effective, right? Like I remember the hybrid Saiyan support Trunks that came out with Broly. I guess to be fair, like Supreme Kai and Kibito that came out with Tech Ultimate Gohan in 2020, they were very effective. Vados was pretty good, who came out with Kefla, right? Like she was pretty good. Like there were characters that released who were effective, but nowadays I feel like banner units oftentimes are very good, right? And it's like, while these two aren't very good, we did have one of those here, this guy. Now I've seen a lot of people say this guy, they like him as the best banner unit. I'm probably still going with Android 8. I think Android 8 is just like, it's like as long as Kid Goku is on rotation with him, he's just untouchable. I guess you could say the thing of Piccolo, though, is Piccolo is very flexible. He's not as tanky if you don't have like a full movie hero rotation to really give him some of his extra damage reduction. But like you can just throw him on teams and he's supporting, he's guarding, he's going to have some level of damage reduction, he can seal. Like this Piccolo is crazy. This guy is by far like the best banner unit we've seen from sort of any of these major celebrations. I do think that kind of does matter quite a bit, right? Like I think that's a pretty big deal. The effectiveness of this Piccolo banner unit right here. Let's take a look at EZAs. This is probably going to be a longer video. Let's look at EZAs, and then I think we'll probably actually just glance through the celebration info. I probably should pull up the Dokkan info. I didn't realize that the wiki wasn't going to fully fill the stuff in. I might want to actually pull up maybe like the celebration info here. I could probably... Here, let me get this on the other monitor, and I'll pull up those news while we're talking about the EZA characters here. So, okay. EZA characters. Oh, I messed up. God damn it. Okay. Let's jump here. So, in terms of just talking specifically about the EZAs, right? I do think that Tech God Goku's incredible, and you really do have to give, I think, a lot of credit to the 4th and 3rd anniversary LR EZAs. They were very crazy on release. Even though they have aged, they were very powerful on release, and I think that really does matter. I think it's very important to like properly like point out how strong they are when they first came out, and not sort of say like, oh, nowadays they're not really that effective. I don't think that's sort of like a fair way to go about it, right? And I guess we did talk about like Omega. God Vegeta wasn't really the craziest and stuff like that. The Worldwide Download Celebration EZAs here. So we have Tech Final Form Cooler, who is very good. Tech Final Form Cooler, you could probably make the argument that he's one of the most underrated characters in the game, because I think a lot of people just don't even realize how effective of a unit he is. Here, this is the 8th anniversary details right there. But I think a lot of people just don't even realize how effective of a character this guy is, right? Now, he's, completely cock-blocked by Final Form Cooler, who's still like a top 10 overall unit in the game, and he wants to sit in slot 2, which will hurt your Tech Final Form Cooler, who also wants to sit in slot 2. I would argue these two are pretty underrated. This guy is a decent option. There's actually quite a few places you can find where this guy is very valuable. This guy is also one of these characters. I think we can make the same claim for Spirit Bomb Absorb Goku right here, where you are running these teams, right? Full of just all of these characters that have to attack to build up. They have to get hit to build up. They're doing all these various things. And then you just have a character like Full Power Frieza or Spirit Bomb Absorb Goku you could put on the team where you kind of know what they are, right? Like, it's not like, oh, we need good RNG for them to get some, additionals and then they're attacking, right? Like, oh, great. Or, oh, all the attacks are aimed in this one spot so they get hit a million times. I think that there's value in having characters like that for these teams, like this Full Power Frieza. This guy is much better, I would argue, than people give him credit for. The same thing for this guy. He can be very heavily flawed, right? Like, you're going to need some RNG on his side, but the amount of category teams he has and his potential, he's decent. This Vegeta's okay. Now, this Piccolo, I actually would argue, I think this Piccolo is the best unit for World Tournament, this Piccolo, because he guaranteed crits on his AoE, which to me is like I've never, ever, ever no matter what ever had like an enemies live. Right, like there's situations, LR STR Broly has not finished off every enemy, and same with EZA Dragon Ball Super Broly. The only character I've had that literally 100% of the time has never failed me is this guy. I think he's the best World Tournament character, right? And he's nuking, and he like auto supers. Like this guy is the dream World Tournament character right there. I kind of like that. That does matter. I know a lot of people don't want to grind World Tournament, and I think a big argument people had of not counting these characters is because people don't like to grind World Tournament, so they want to pretend they don't exist. But sorry, they exist, right? And it's like that Piccolo can help you get these guys who are, this guy really, really good. This guy really, really good. This guy's decent. You're kind of like okay-ish. You're kind of like okay-ish. You're trash. But yeah, some of them are pretty good. Vegeta, I think, could be solid for like a Super Battle Road or Burst Mode type run. This Metal Cooler's always been much better than people gave him credit for. Yeah, he can get one-shotted by big super attacks, but he's a decent option on Wicked Bloodline. He is a character that doesn't need to get hit several times, but I found Metal Cooler to be fairly effective. This unit, you can have some value if you're able to get there a lot of dodges, or you're able to get the exchange and you get the heal and stuff like that. And then the free-to-play Metal Coolers, I think, are pretty good. And the Tech Cooler. Like, it's just, there's so many free-to-play characters during this celebration. Oh, this guy sucks. Yeah, you're just bad. But then you are God. This is like a really good EZA, right? And then we look at the 8th anniversary EZAs. Vegito, man, I just, it really does become a thing of like, why would you run him, right? Like, I as sad as it is, it does come down to that of why would you run this Vegito? Why run him? Why even do it? Like, it's just, he does no damage. He could tank every normal in the game, but he dies to super attacks. Like, there's so many better characters we could run who do the same thing, right? Like, I don't know. Boo has really high potential, but he's going to need a better team. Blue Kaioken Goku, he has, that Spirit Bomb and what he does is really crazy. He's definitely the strongest EZA-TUR. I would not rank him above the 5th anniversary fusions in terms of how good Blue Kaioken is, though. I just think that what these guys do, these are like the crown jewel of the 8th anniversary, because these are, according to my very unofficial scientific data analysis of how hype characters are, I would argue that the 5th anniversary fusions, these are the most popular characters in Dokkan history, I think. These two. So them getting EZAs, I don't think that there's, like, unless the anniversary headliners, because people point out, oh, the 8th anniversary is not good. The Blue Fusions overshadowed the main characters, like these two right here. But that literally would have happened, like, in any year. Like, maybe with the 7th, maybe not the 7th, and I feel like they probably still would have even last year. Because, like, this guy is Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, sure, but, like, you've only just got a flash of Gogeta in this. Like, in order for these two to not overshadow something, I think there's only one thing that could have happened, and that would be Beast Gohan. Like, standalone Beast Gohan is one of these two. The Blue Fusions wouldn't be able to overshadow that. But, like, that's it. Or, like, if we would reverse and go back in time, when Ultra Instinct was brand new, right? Like, and they did a release like when he was fresh. Yeah. Now, UI Goku has been out since 2017, right? Like, that's been a thing for 6 years now, closing in on. So, it's not really as hype, whereas, like, the fusions, Vegito and Gogeta, they always carry the huge amount of hype. So, it's like, in terms of characters, it's like, the 8th anniversary definitely, I think, wins. Like, once you introduce these World Tournament characters, which, you have to, it's right there in the celebration info. So let's go through the celebration infos here. I guess this is going to be kind of tough because there's a lot to go through, right? So one thing that this 7th anniversary had, the Worldwide has an example of this, but the 8th doesn't really have a counter for this. So we got these co-op campaigns don't really mean too much. Although I think there is the ones where it keeps track of like how many stages you've done, which I think is fun because like a little healthy competition against people. Those are fun. We have just like Dokkan events, the tickets, like so far, like 8th anniversary is like all the same as like everything so far. Yup, that's all the same. We had the 3 story events like usual, the equip events, the red zone stages. Now, this is one thing that was really driving me nuts during the 8th anniversary is like part 1 happens, people go, oh my god, no red zone. Like they could have just dropped the red zone in part 2 or 3, right? But like people were pretending like Legic and Turles were legitimate fights in part 1 of the 7th anniversary, and it's like, no, they weren't. It's like once we got to part 2, some of those fights were good, like Baby and Rildo and Cooler. Those were good fights during part 2, but the part 1 fights, nah, stop. Boss rush right here. Now, there was no boss rush in the 8th anniversary, but there's an event you could directly point to that is like sort of a replacement for that. We have missions here for these events. This is something that Dokkan really should be able to just do very often. Now, the Worldwide Download Celebration has an answer for this. They were doing missions for the Red Zone stages themselves, which I would argue are way more fun. But the 8th anniversary wasn't really dropping missions like this. A lot of the 8th anniversary content towards the end was the burst modes, though, which burst mode didn't even exist when the Worldwide Download Celebration or 7th anniversary was going on, right? So we have those, all the EZAs and Dokkan events, stuff like that. That's all typical. All right, let's take a look at the part 2 info here for the 7th anniversary. Yep, there's a lot here. Okay. So then part 2, you get the new stages, like always. There was 2 separate EZAs, which is definitely a W, that each EZA'd 2 characters. I think, again, that's a huge W right there. Multiple EZAs with multiple decent characters. These stages, so this was 4 stages that were released. It was Cooler, Android 13, Rildo, and Baby. All legitimate stages. Android 13 does cancel dodge, which can make him, I guess, a bit tricky, but he goes, you fight 14 and 15, and then it's AGL 13, AGL 13, right? So he doesn't have type coverage. He could just run in with, like, mono attack and do pretty well there. Good fights, though. Then we also have missions there. The top legendary summon banner, which I feel like I don't want to get into, like comparing these 3 celebrations, and I don't want to go, I've talked a lot about hype of the characters, but I don't really want to make that like a real, like thing, like a positive or negative for any of these celebrations, except for Kid Gohan. I think that's a real negative because he is one of the most unpopular characters ever released. But the rest of the characters are all like pretty hype, for the Worldwide Celebration, and the rest of the 8th anniversary characters, 7th anniversary LRs are all like a reasonable level of hype. And then I think it's just very subjective, right? Like one person might think this is more hype, one person might think this is more hype. I do think you could definitely take negative points off of Kid Gohan. The reception I've seen to him is just so bad that I feel like you can't ignore it. But I don't want to take hype too much into account besides deducting negative points for Kid Gohan, right? So we got these missions, Elder Kai's. All right, part 2 wasn't the craziest, but you did have the good red zone stages. Then we get to part 3 here, the EZA area. All these characters sucked. This was awesome. 2 EZAs. These guys were so fun. I remember being so excited grinding their EZAs. We had a chain battle. I mean, chain battle is much better nowadays because the rewards are so goddamn good, right? So it's like with how good the rewards are right now, chain battle I think is far more bearable, but obviously chain battle is not great content. Again, I mentioned earlier, this is maybe the best content night in Dokkan history, though. These 6 stages, monster W's, just so good, so good. We had you could get tickets from the red zones to do summons, which is cool, and then more missions for these. That's good. A lot of missions for those legendary events, which is good. That is content. And then the EX part, which the 7th anniversary had, to me, this is what separates the 7th anniversary from the 8th anniversary, is just these 2 at the end, right? Like that, and, they've aged now, but they were very good on release. I might have argued these 2 as, like, the 3rd best characters in the game. I think I was, right? I thought that these guys were, like, number 3 when they came out. Like, it was crazy. Let's take a look at the Worldwide Download Celebration. Again, this is my pick for the best celebration. So let's go ahead and see what we got right here. Remember, there was a lot of negativity on this celebration at the time of its release because of the Carnival banner. And I think a lot of people, I mean, not to be rude, but a lot of people were being brats about it. Not actually trying to, like, properly, like, judge things and stuff like that. And we're just kind of being whiny. The celebration ended up being much better than I think nearly anyone could give it credit for because of that. We could also give bonus points for the Cooler wraps, huh? Yeah, come on. I don't remember the wrap, the 8th anniversary or 7th anniversary wrap. You know, I might just want to throw that out there, by the way. You know, by the way, just saying. All right, so we had one of these special logins. That's cool. The Dokkan Fest and Carnival. Now, again, I think that this is, to me, what really props this celebration up. This is one of the major things. Splitting the Dokkan Fest up, it's just such a major thing. I really cannot emphasize enough how I think that's very, very big. It just keeps the hype very, very high through the entire celebration. Which is something that, again, we didn't really see during the 8th and 7th, where there was a big fall off, but that didn't happen during the worldwide download celebration. So we have the Dokkan event for Cooler, one of these co-op campaigns, sure. I mean, yeah. So, oh, yeah, damn. Yeah, this is a huge thing. You get all your tickets for all the stones you use throughout the year. I mean, that is a pretty big thing right there, dude. Holy, yeah. Okay. So the 7th and 8th anniversary, you get the 3 tickets: the rainbow tickets, the normal tickets, and then the tickets for the 77 multi. But the thing is, this celebration, you have these, but then we did have one of these special summons as well. This is why, the 2021 Worldwide Download Celebration, I don't think we could kind of put on this level because it didn't have one of these, right? I think this really matters too. This is very good. So we had that. There's a huge W. You get all this. You could get a bunch of characters, right, for stones you use throughout the year. Red and purple stones don't matter too much. We have story events. This event, which gave us 30 stones once a week, that shit is a W. One of these equip events, which is really good. We did have a red zone as well, right? And this red zone was very good. The 5 stages in this red zone, 4 of them are very good stages. Mecha Frieza and King Cold is not a good stage. Then they add the missions for the red zone. That's so good. Those missions against Omega and Broly, and then Metal Cooler Core eventually during the celebration. That's a monster W. This celebration did have a boss rush as well. Then we get to this. So this, to me, I think, I'm trying to be very, I don't want to be rude here, but this is another event where the community was being very bratty about it. Where instantly it's, oh my god, it's a pay-to-win event. But you could beat every stage without using the new summonable characters, right? All these stages were available to do. This stage really, it's not that much different from any other difficult content Dokkan has ever dropped, besides the fact that there just are specific characters who are better. But, I mean, they even did that for the Cell Max event, too, right? I think that this event is fine. And as a matter of fact, I would say this event was very fun. I thought, this fight was interesting. This was a completely different fight. We're always crying about when is the long content? When is the long content? Well, we had a stage right here, right, where we had our 10 rounds of the metal coolers. I did like that. The rewards for this were very good. Incredibly powerful equips. Good stuff. This is a W event. I no doubt about that in my mind. That is a W event right there. So we have the Elder Kais. The keys were not around during the 7th anniversary, but I mean, I guess that's something to point out here. Sure, right? Okay, because this is the global info. Yeah, this came out. I'm trying to. I mean, we're talking about the JP 8th anniversary, so I'm comparing the JP version of these celebrations to each other. This came out during Tanabata on JP, but I mean, I guess during Global, this was the first time this came out. We have the 2 EZAs right there. Well, yeah, see, this is what the 7th anniversary didn't have. 7th anniversary didn't have EZAs in Part 1. Yeah, see, man, that's the Worldwide Download Celebration. It is. It's number 1. It really is. I like this. Yeah, Cooler Movie 1, 7th anniversary 2, 8th anniversary 3, for sure. I stand by this. I'm looking at this Worldwide Download Celebration info. Then we have a sub EZA right there. Again, this guy's very good. We had this. We had that during the 7th anniversary too, but that was only implemented during the EX part. Right here. Yeah, right there. I love this shit. Yeah, give me more boosts for link leveling though, bruh. We love that. All the potential orbs are up, and oh yeah, dude, wow. The worldwide I did this on stream like a week ago while grinding the World Tournament. Of during this celebration, I made a tweet like it's on track to be the best celebration ever, and the replies, like the replies and quotes, people were so ridiculous to it, and it is. This is the best celebration, man. Oh yeah, hell yeah! All right, let's go to part two. So remember part two. This is where, yeah, but see, like the content for part one is way better because the mission for Red Zone beats missions for the legendary events, and then we had good Red Zone stages, Full Power Frieza and Final Form Cooler, compared to bad Red Zone stages, which was, you know, Turles and Slug and Lord Lude and stuff, right? Like those aren't good fights. All right, so then we get again, huge W. I would say in terms of like hype going into it, there was never a part two with this much excitement because there was a Dokkan Fest in part two. They got to keep doing this. 9th anniversary has to be this. All right, it does. Dokkan Fest, Carnival Banner, part one and part two. That's the W way to do it. We had the new Dokkan event at one of these co-op campaigns. Okay, sure. You still could get doing missions to build up these tickets for that multi. Metal Cooler, Easy A. Whew. Damn, we had one of these too. Yeah, these link level events. This was like the best link level event in the game. The 8th anniversary just surpassed it with the Kaioken and Spirit Bomb training one. But this was, you know, pretty crazy. Yeah, it's a W there. We had this. I mean, I don't think that these are the most fun. This is like, these kind of like, I almost want to say like puzzle events or whatever, but you have to beat all the guards really fast with certain characters and typings and stuff like that. But it's still content. Then we had new stages here. And then what? There was 2 Red Zone fights. Mecha Frieza and King Cold, which was ass. And then Metal Cooler, which was very good. Metal Cooler's a very good Red Zone fight. And then Missions to Red Zone Broly. And then, you know, they fixed drop rates, made them better in here to get the characters. More Zenny missions than the Easy area. More stages here. Dude, and an Infinite Dragon Ball History stage. 7th anniversary didn't have an Infinite Dragon Ball History stage. Am I crazy or am I just looking at this like, dude, Worldwide Download Celebration is like twice as good as the 7th anniversary. Like, look at this. All right, so then we could finally do the ticket, right, which matches up. Both anniversaries had one of these. Just normal missions right there. This is just a co-op campaign. Final stages here. There was a Dragon Ball story, which is fun. I guess we could say that there was, 4 story events during this celebration. Last couple of stages were added to here. I know some of these were very difficult for a lot of players, though. Finishing the last... What was the really tough one people were struggling with? I think it was Cooler. Because the strategy people came up with was... What was it? It was using the Piccolo. The Piccolo, I think, is the best World Tournament character. People were using him. That was kind of the strategy that people were using, it, but had a lot of difficulties with the Metal Cooler core. We got the final Red Zone stage, which was really good against the Metal Cooler core. One of the hardest fights in the game. I think there's 3 stages in the game currently you can argue is the hardest fight in the game. I think there's valid pros and cons for all 3. Red Zone Broly, the Tech Cell Max event, and the Metal Cooler core. I think those are the 3 hardest fights in the game. So if you're kind of like, that is a W for, I think, the 7th anniversary and this Worldwide Download Celebration, that they have some of the toughest fights in the game. The 8th anniversary does have tough fights, but even none of them are on par with Red Zone Broly from the 7th anniversary, right? So like that's definitely a point deduction you could do for the 8th anniversary, I think there. Then there was, tickets with the Wicked Bloodline Red Zone. By the way, not only did they drop Metal Cooler, but there also was missions for the Metal Cooler core, right? So he dropped with missions at the same time, and then Big Daddy came at the end. Whew. Then we had more Easy A's. This was for all the free-to-play Metal Coolers. And then another Zenny campaign, then Chain Battle. Yeah, this is the W celebration right here, for sure. Yeah, no doubt about that. I just think having... Like, I thought this event was good, plus a new Red Zone, plus missions for the previous Red Zone stages, right? I think you have a good cast of characters. I think if I would rank by, like, units, I think the 7th anniversary is probably the weakest, then this, than this. I think the 8th anniversary probably has the best selection, but I am counting these guys because they came out during the anniversary. Tough, right? If you remove the World Tournament units, does the Worldwide Download Celebration move above it? Maybe. I mean, I do think Piccolo over, like, compare Piccolo to, like, Nova and Ice, dude. Like, yeah, it's a little bit of a W for Piccolo, I would say. And then we have the 8th anniversary, so it's going to be kind of weird because we're going from third part down. So we had the Blue Fusion ZZAs, that's part 3. We had missions, we had the EZA area right there, stages, the Shadow Dragon event. There were some missions in this. This event it's good, right? It's kind of like a modern day God event is what I would say, but I don't think that these stages are as fun as Red Zone stages. But like this is, you know, more content added into the game. So we had these stages, plus there were some missions in there. This was kind of just like a fun gimmick event, you know, this Spirit Bomb event, plus there was a lot of missions, a lot of rewards. Can I pull this up? Did this take us to the event? No, I don't think it does. Okay. But there's a lot of good missions there. We had the Chain Battle, the Blue Fusions EZA. The 8th anniversary event thing, the 8th anniversary battle event it's not actually in here. Wait. Can I? Because there's not a newer version of that, right? So that we're getting these rewards soon. Here's the 8th anniversary challenge event, which is definitely good. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely an anniversary event right here. This is kind of like, this is like the EX part of the 8th anniversary, is this. You know, this fight against all the anniversary characters and getting the equips. I thought this event is very good. Do I think this is better than, like, the Wicked Bloodline Red Zone? No. Is this better than, you know, the movie and GT Red Zones? No. But this probably is the best event that the 8th anniversary had, is this. There's a lot of events in the 8th anniversary. That's the thing. So we had that. Remember that there was the burst modes as well? There was 3 burst modes. You had the Dragon Ball opening medley. You had the Blue Fusions Dokkan events burst modes. We had the Carnival LRs, Dual Dokkan Fest right there. These were part 2 EZAs. Spirit Bomb, Absorb Goku, and Blue Kaioken. They, of course, have banners. That doesn't really matter too much. Returning events doesn't matter. We, you know, I got new stages in part 2 there. This is just like that Metal Cooler Link level event, but this is the best one we've ever gotten. There was an Infinite Dragon Ball History stage here. Remember, there was not one of these during the 7th anniversary. This TN event is only up because both of the Carnival LRs need his medals to awaken. These are here because of a World Tournament. Again, World Tournament is here in like the actual celebration info and stuff like that, right? So we had that. Let's see what else we got. This is cool. This, like, everyone's Genki campaign. So this was just a treasure item you got from missions. And then there was very good rewards you could get from this. Very busted equips, rainbow tickets you could use to pull on the major LR banners, right? Like those shops. Let me actually pull up one of my shorts. I did a number of shorts going over those shops. Again, I try my best to cover, like, literally everything that happens. All right, guys. Ignore me from the past right there. Okay, so let's go to shorts here. So what we're looking for is, yeah, right here. All right, guys. I just wanted to make a quick short pointing out that the Everyone's Wishes exchange shop has been updated yet again with really, really powerful things, too, in here. This is crazy. These equips... So these could be used by Shadow Dragon Saga and Majin Buu Saga units. Look how strong these are. Stats equips, I think, are very, very good. Then we had we had a bunch of those, right? Like I thought that was pretty good. That's just like free rewards and stuff like that. Those equips were very strong. These are the part 1 Dokkan events. We had all 3 of these major celebrations had one of these, right? Getting the tickets there. We had the coin exchange. I guess the coin exchange is something that the 2 anniversaries had, which the Worldwide Download Celebration didn't have. Sure. I mean, that's something to point out. A lot of the same stuff. This is a daily equipment event. This is the event that's here instead of Boss Rush. I'll take this over Boss Rush. Boss Rush is actually kind of boring. But like people were saying, oh, well, there's no Boss Rush for 8th anniversary. Yeah, but we've got it's like 1-to-1. It's very obvious. We have Part 1 EZAs here. 7th anniversary did not have Part 1 EZAs, but both Worldwide and 8th anniversary did. We have Battlefield. All the EZAs and Dokkan events were up. This is on Sundays. We had a bunch of the boosts up. Keys, potential orbs. Oh, they did drop this. We had this speed battle mission, or event, excuse me. And then they did add missions to this as well for beating it in a certain amount of speed. Bunch of story events were up during the celebration as well, sure, and a bunch of the stuff. So there's all of it. Again, if I had to do a ranking, like going through it all, I do feel good about this. Cooler movie, 7th anniversary, 8th anniversary. I just feel like I would give the W to the 7th anniversary over the 8th anniversary for 2 reasons. There's 2 major reasons I do that, right? Number 1 is the EX part, which I think matters. We did have the free-to-play Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr., but like they're kind of like, oh, actually, I didn't grab them. Yeah, we got to get Goku, because the reason they're not there, I grabbed them for this site is in order of all the characters that came out. Remember, they came out with part of the EX. They came out with the EX part, but then they got their EZA for Saiyan Day. So you do have to include Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. in this as well. So there was, another free-to-play LR right there, but all the even they were pretty ass, right? Like, it doesn't change things too much. But I do think that these guys mattered a lot. And then just how strong... Oh, the page crashed? No, it didn't. Okay. Just how strong this night was. When it's like the 3rd anniversary, the first Dokkan Fest LR EZAs, and then, 6 of the best content stages we've ever gotten at the same time. To me, that puts the 7th anniversary above the 8th anniversary. I don't really... a lot of people were upset that 8th anniversary didn't have LR Omega and Kid Buu. I don't... The Part 2 LRs, I feel like are kind of a wash between the two here. This is definitely the most unhyped character, like, LR they've ever released, sure. But, like, it's not like the 7th anniversary Part 2 is, oh my god, it's so crazy. Like, no, I'm not going there. And then I put the Worldwide as 1. This celebration was just too good. It seems like it just had, like, more content than basically either of the others. I don't know, the 8th anniversary might actually have had the most content. I think the 8th anniversary did have the most content, but it just wasn't as good as the content that the Worldwide Download Celebration and 7th anniversary had. Right? Because it's like, you had that Spirit Bomb event, you had all these missions, you had the Shadow Dragon event, you had the 8th anniversary battle event. But those events, while good, are not as good as the Red Zones, right? And it's like the Worldwide Download Celebration had a new Red Zone and missions for the old Red Zones, right? Which is huge W. And again, I think that this event was very good. People were way too hard on this, but this event was strong. So let me know what you guys think. Comparing all the anniversaries. This ended up being a 50-minute video. I did not realize this was going to be 50 minutes here, but I wanted to be pretty fair. I think all 3 celebrations are very good. I do want to end this by saying, remember this, Dokkan players. When the next major celebration starts, don't start crying, in Part 1. We have no idea. Like, 7th anniversary started. Imagine if you were there, I didn't see very much of it. People were not complaining about the 7th anniversary while it was going on, besides the difficulty of Red Zone at the end. That people were upset about that when it came out. Like, everyone is all happy about it now. On release, people were pissed at how hard Broly and Omega and these guys were, right? Don't forget that. I thought it was a good thing since day 1, though, right? And it is a good thing if they don't do this crazy power creep every single year, which they didn't. The 8th anniversary, I don't think should have done with this. It's not healthy. But people were pretty happy most of the 7th anniversary, right? People were pretty excited about that. But like, if you were upset, 3 days into the Part 1, and then we still had 80 EZAs and all these events and stuff like that, you can never tell, right, until deep into these celebrations, like exactly how good they're going to be, right? So let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. I love y'all. And yeah, that's it. 15-minute video on the 3 best celebrations in Dokkan history. There you go.